the DIY hammock. I settled for an hammock for my first few trips as a hammock hanger. Last summer was my first year as a hammock backpacker, but now this year I'm starting to get a little inventive. Took my chances with some DIY gear. Most recently did a video on my cook kit, which is probably what I've been the most creative with. Up until now, I've taken my hand to sewing and working on my own gear. This right here that you're looking at is my stuff sack for my DIY hammock. It is a Tyvek stuff sack that I sewed myself. Just followed the plans on Through Hiker website and made a little stuff sack with drawstring, the whole deal. Works pretty good. So let's set up the hammock. Alright, so here is my DIY rig in its full glory. It's a little windy out, but we'll go over some of the basics. Got an adjustable ridge line made out of am steel, kind of a whoopee sling turned into a ridge line that I made myself. Am steel is from Backwoods Daydreamer, Scott Littlefield. Ordered it off his website. He still has the DIY stuff going. Whoopee sling suspension, also did it myself. That's attached to my polypropylene tree straps. I use a cut down 7-Eleven Slurpee straw. I got that idea from Shug. Thanks, Shug. Love your videos, man. Always inspiration, gets my mind thinking. The straps I got from Arrowhead Equipment. Great deal, really good craftsmanship. It's good stuff. As you can see, as we saw earlier, it's a gathered end hammock. It's a little small. I kind of underestimated the length. I'm 5'10". It can be a little tight at times. I also have a different design to it. It's kind of like an hourglass shape. It gives me these nice deep curves right in here. I can see over the edge when I'm laying in it. Right back to here is my stuff sack again, and back up the ridge line. So let's take a seat in it and see what we got going on. So I got a rolled hem on the edge. It sits a little low at the ridge line, but so far so good. I haven't had an actual night in it now that it's modified with the hourglass shape, but it's got a good diagonal lay. As you can see, the edges there sit nice and low. That curve in the edge really helps. I mean, I had an Eno double nest prior to this, and you'd lay in that, and I mean, you could barely see out the sides. You really had to work for it. This, I can look over the edge, look out the back end of my tarp when it's set up, no problem. Like I said, it's a little tight in the shoulders. But I think that's because it's not as long as it normally would be, so it starts to gather up there and leaves you a little tight. But overall, I'm comfortable. It's a nice lay. I'm not the type that sleeps really sprawled out. I have no problem just being cozied up, arms in tight. Keeps me warm. For the most part, really enjoying the new hammock. The kicker is the whole thing in the stuff sack, 14 ounces. I'm definitely looking forward to one day buying myself a Blackbird. I know that's like the Cadillac of hammocks, but at 30 plus ounces, that sometimes my 14 ounces doesn't sound too bad. One of my other additions to the hammock, also along with my Tyvek stuff sack, I got a Tyvek Ridgeline pocket. Sewed that with some Velcro, put it under here so you can kind of take it on and off whether you want it or not. It's like 6 inches long, 4.5, almost 5 inches deep. It's just, since I gave up the Eno typically has that little pocket right here down on the edge. I used to like to stick like fresh socks, headlamp, things like that in there. You know, I kind of gave that up. Also, along with that big old buckle that comes on that thing, you know, sacrificing that pocket, I wanted to replace it with a good ridgeline pocket. And when I started messing around with the Tyvek, you know, it just seemed like a good thing to do. But for the most part, enjoying the DIY hammock. It's really kind of opened my eyes. It was my first piece of gear that required sewing. So that was kind of an experience. Got some tips from my mom, of all people, and used her sewing machine. It wasn't too bad. This isn't a very ambitious project, I would say. It's, you know, a lot of the seams and a lot of the sewing is just straight lines, no problems, no, you know, tricky stuff necessary. But for the most part, it went out pretty much flawless, as far as I can say. Really looking forward to a couple of good nights on the trail coming up. Supposed to be able to do some fishing where we're headed, and looking forward to that. Pretty much catch all your main meals, so having fresh fish cooked over a fire is going to be quite a treat. So I will definitely be bringing the camera, extra batteries, plenty of memory, and documenting that trip, because that's going to be some good times. Looking forward to it, and I'll post some videos as soon as I have it.